Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball, HTB. Thanks again guys for tuning in. Thank you for being part of it. Look, this is the third edition of Lights Turned Off, where I give you guys a more, analytical approach to the game, as well as presenting to you guys stats, plus discussion points as well. And just having a yarn about the game from yesterday. But if you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Please follow me on my main sort of social media platforms, which is Twitter, as well as Instagram. They both Hold the Ball YT. So if you can get into that, please do. But yeah, without further ado, pass me the ball. All right, as we know, in this edition of Lights Turned Off, the Rabbitohs beat the Warriors 60 points to 22, and look, in a game that can only be described as just, wow, I guess there's probably not the worst to say it. So as we look into the player stats, I'm going to give you guys the first ranking describe and just sort of go from there, okay? So for attacking run meters, we had Dallin Watene-Selesniak, who had 155 run meters, and again, kudos to him. For me personally, he was probably one of the only few players who actually genuinely wanted to be on the field. He was actually giving it his all. Post-contact meters, Saul Sirenen were 41 post-contact meters. So again, guys, that should probably give you a summation of the game right there. Tackle breaks was Dallin Watene-Selesniak, again with 4. Tackles was Curran with 51, which is a good achievement again. And I thought he's probably one of the other players too who stood up really well. And no missed tackles plus tackles, non-applicable because every single Warriors player from the bench right to the starting 13 missed a tackle, and again just shows you just how poor we were. Line breaks go to Dallin Watene-Selesniak as well as Adam Pompey with 1 apiece. All right, now we're going to the team stats, and as you know, this is where the real story is told. All right, so I'm going to be going Warriors first and Rabbitohs second. So for the errors, Warriors had 12, Rabbitohs had 8. Penalties conceded, both shared 2. Missed tackles, Warriors had 41, Rabbitohs had 25. And again, right there, it just shows you just the fact that the Rabbitohs, it was so easy for them yesterday, as we saw, literally skipping along, sidestepping, or even just running over our own players just to, score a try. Possession was 33% Warriors to 67% Rabbitohs, and again, shows you we were starved of that ball. Rabbitohs made sure to capitalize on what they had, scoring try and try and try, where the Warriors, unfortunately, as we saw in patches, even if we got close, we unfortunately did not know how to hold the ball, so to speak, and every single time there was just an error after an error. As I touched on before, 12 errors to 8. We made 4 more than them, but I guess we made them in crucial points, and virtually all our errors led to the Rabbitohs scoring. Completion rate was 71% to 81. Again, Warriors usually are a good team for completion, not that day. Obviously, in the Rabbitohs, 81% to 71%. That again just adds more to the story. Tackle breaks, Warriors 25, Rabbitohs for 41, and yeah, we all know how that went. And tackles per team, so the Warriors had 383 tackles, and the Rabbitohs had 236. So that means there was only 147 tackles more that the Warriors made, which again, quite significant. And obviously, yes, the stamina would be pulled back, of course, obviously, and there was definitely more desperation with us anyway. A lot of scrambled defense was on display, but overall, as Nathan Brown sort of touched on as well, defense just surrendered. And so that's the team stats there. And again, it tells you a very telling story. And my best on ground before I get into some discussions. It was very tough, honestly. I think number 3 was the fans. I think it was us watching it, especially those who watched the whole game, or those who watched the majority of it. Yeah. Number 2 was Otokolo, who came in trying circumstances. Now, the reason why I said it is because I think he had a good game. 30 plus tackles as well. Again, he should be injected more. And I thought he did what he had to do in very hard circumstances. So again, kudos to him. And number 1 to me goes to Dallin Watene-Selesniak, who I think was a stand-up player. Notable misses to me was Josh Curran. But besides that, I don't think anyone else really deserved to have their names mentioned. So now we're going to go into some discussions where, again, you guys can think and tell me what you guys think in the comment section. We can discuss. I will definitely get back to your comments for sure. So, you know what, Reece Walsh, as we touched on, you know, just shaky start, you know, quite literally a shaky start, and one that didn't help our cause. But in saying that as well, that's probably when you thought the halves would interject themselves more, and they didn't. Townsend and Nikorima ran for a total of 73 meters together. They had 4 missed tackles together, and they had 354 kick meters as well. Bear in mind that literally Nikorima did not kick the ball once in that game. So 354 of those kicks, those meters, came from Chad Townsend himself. Though Cody did a lot of tackling, again, what he needs to offer in the offensive game was not there. And kudos to the Rabbitohs defense, sure, but again, effort is just not there. And these so many times you can just look at the guy and just say he doesn't want to be there. And when are we going to make the move? The props as well. Obviously, I definitely expected them to have a big game. And, you know, obviously, Adam Fonua-Blake is off with a compound fracture on his finger. Matt Lodge is on report and possibly out for a game or two. Forwards, I thought, who was supposed to stand up, didn't stand up. Katoa as well tried, he got injured. Murchie got injured. You know, sort of just always brings me back to the questioning of our training as well. Like, what are we doing during the weekdays? You know, I touched on it on my, you know, off the hip sort of review, but what are we doing during the weekdays? Are we training? Are we, what is it that we're trying to do, accomplish? Are we forming any sort of defensive structure? Is there something going on there, or is there nothing going on at all? Because it seems to be the same thing week in, week out. And as fans, we just put up with it. We just watch it and we just put up with it. You know, many, many times over and over again, the love and the passion that we showed this team, the players who wear the jersey, goes absolutely unpaid for. There's definitely no return back, okay? This is the reality of the Warriors. When you support them, when you invest in them, you just have to understand that history has shown us there's been no return. We can talk about pretty signings. We can talk about pretty winning streaks, pretty moments, but ultimately there's only one goal in the NRL. And it's definitely not to lose. It's definitely not to come second place. And I could sit here and say there's so much that you can learn during a loss, but with 7 losses in a row, what is there to learn? Again, sure, you can bring the injuries, but again, that card just needs to go, okay? It needs to go. We can't rely on that every time. Though it may be a factor here and there, but I mean, ultimately, do you think our players, if fully fit, could even really do any damage? A lot of the games we've lost as well have been by 6 points or less, a majority anyway. Just the real flogging we've got. Not even Melbourne could flog us, not even Manly could flog us. I sort of had a feeling in the back of my mind that this was going to be the game where we got flogged. I just had this feeling. And I tried to put it off, and there you go. In the greater scheme of things for the Warriors, obviously the objective is to get into the 8. But the fact that as fans we're just asking for perhaps just a bit of effort, even in a losing game, is red flags. It is red flags. You know, teams are asking for wins. Fans or teams are asking for wins, they're looking for wins, perhaps looking to pile on points. You know, if you support the Bunnies or the Panthers or the Eels or the, you know, Storm, you're talking about wins. Whereas with the Warriors, we're just asking for effort, even in losing games. Even in games we know, we're just asking for effort. And again, staring down the barrel of 7 losses right now, potentially 8, and don't get me started. Just because we're versing the Tigers, do not think this is going to be an easy game. Until I see us win, I am not going to hold my hopes up. And if you haven't been watching the Tigers closely, watch them, because even that Manly game, there were still promises there. A few things didn't go their way, but still they were trying. We could potentially be looking down the barrel of 8 losses in a row, guys. You know, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Have we been exposed? We absolutely have. I think teams have done their assignment on us. They know that whenever it gets tough, we're a weak team anyway. physically weak, mentally weak, we're easily disposed every single game. It just seems like a lot of the time when we play the opposition, we sort of just wait for them to see how they go. We sort of wait for them. We sort of give them leeway. We sort of give them a bit of, a bit of momentum somehow. But we wait for them to make the first move. And you know what? All good and well that we scored the first try yesterday. Great try, by the way. But then as soon as the Rabbitohs struck back, you just had this little feeling, didn't you? Because the way they did it was so easy. And then it just died off. For the first 4 minutes, Warriors were in it. And that was it. That was all she wrote. Literally the first 4 minutes. I don't know these boys from a bar of soap. All right? I don't know these guys from a loaf of bread. But I think one of the best things you can do as a fan, or one of the greatest compliments I think anyway, and is to actually want your team, want these players to actually do well. These very players you don't know. And as I sit here and critique them, I don't do it out of a place of hatred, but more so from a place of just, I want you guys to win. And they're not. And they're continuing to not win. And there's been promises from head bosses and stuff that we're going to progress, but there's been nothing shown. If anything, we've slidden even more. And with the team we've had, you think we would actually do the opposite, but no. It's actually worse. There's not much to say in regards to what happened yesterday. We all saw it. And if you didn't, go watch my review. But we just saw two different teams there. And sure, you can bring up the ladder positioning, but I mean, ultimately, that's really irrelevant now. If the Broncos can give the Panthers a run for their money, then why can't we? But again, as noted before, we aren't good enough. Look, I'm going to wrap this up just quickly. Obviously, it's Warriors till I die. It's Warriors till it's Warriors no more, basically. And I'm sure you as a Warriors fan are the same, and anyone who's watching who's not a Warriors fan, I appreciate you actually watching anyway. But it's a time here to digest and just really think and reflect on how we're going, and it's not great. Okay, guys, well, we've got the Tigers, and I tell you what, I'm actually pretty nervous. And if you're a fan who's not, good on you. But I don't know how you can sort of try to justify us winning next week if this is what we're doing. And even if we do win, the main goal of making the 8 is gone anyway, so it doesn't even matter. This is all pointless, I suppose. But in saying that, like I said, Warriors to the end, right? Warriors to the end. But thanks again, guys, for watching. I appreciate it very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been another episode of Lights Turned Off. And just quickly before I go, the lights have always been off with the Warriors. That's the reality. When you're looking down 7 losses in a row, the lights have always been off. And I think that's probably the issue. Anyway, take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Do well to hold the ball. I'll see you guys next time.